Well, good morning, Liberal Kansas, Southwest Kansas, the Oklahoma Panhandle, and all other places where you tune in to get your news and views from the middle of America. So the leader in times on Thursday, January 9, 2025. On the far side, Jim Rice, this off camera, B. Simons, and it's Thursday, the first Thursday of 2025, where we have Seward County Community College back with us. So welcome back to school, I guess.
Thank you, yes.
Are classes back in yet, or?
They start on Monday.
They start on Monday.
We have several 16-week courses and then 12-week courses, 8-week courses. But everything starts back on Monday.
So we have Dee Dee Flax and Crystal Pounds here with us. We're going to talk a little bit about the new semester here and some of the classes and the different ways you can take classes with Seward County Community College. So where do you want to start? What do we want to hit first?
Oh, we have a lot to talk about. So we have several different, classes will start on Monday, so there's still time to enroll. I have a phone number for enrollment whenever you're ready for that.
Oh, go ahead.
620-417-1100. And that will take you to you will get the admissions department, and if you're not sure what you want to enroll in, they can help you. And if you know what you want to enroll in, then they can help you with that as well.
Can you say that one more time? I typed on the wrong keyboard.
620-417-1100. And you can also enroll online. We do have an online page that Crystal had designed and put on the web.
Well, great. And so, I remember back when, we did it, you had to fill out a form, fill out an application, get that either mail it in or bring it in. Do you see more people applying online, or how do people do it mostly today?
We do. There are still a good majority of students who would like to come in and talk to the instructors and talk to their advisors, which we really like to see, because then we can lead them in the right direction, make sure that they're taking the classes that they need so they can graduate. But then we also have students that will just apply online, and then once we get the application, then they can sign up for the classes that they want.
And so even though here we are on Thursday, classes are going to start Monday, can you still get in? I mean, what do you got to do?
Yep, absolutely. All you need to do is call that phone number or go to SCCC.edu, and there are links there that will let you see the schedule underneath the academics link, and then there will also be an apply where you can apply if you've not gone to school before, or if you're returning, then you can see the class schedule and sign in and enroll.
Great, and we're adding those links down here, so if you're looking for that, the phone number's right down below. The link to sccc.edu is right down below. Make it easy for you. We keep Louie with us right here to remind people every day on the show, and it's a great place to get started. And at this point, I mean, just beginning the semester, I know that there's always a difference. The fall semester always seems to have a lot more students, and then the spring semester it changes a little bit. But what have you seen so far? How are we looking, apples to apples comparison for this coming spring semester?
So we just, I believe, around approximately 15,000 credit hours, have reached our 15,000 credit hours, and we still see a lot of enrollment the first week of school. So students are still maybe on break, on vacation with their family, and so when they come back, we see enrollment the first couple of days, which is perfectly fine. We like to have everyone enrolled before classes begin, so that way you're not starting behind. But there is still time, even if you wouldn't want to enroll on Monday.
Sure, and so we were talking just a little bit before we went on camera, and you guys said that online classes, that it's more likely that men or boys do the online classes more than the girls do. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have a phenomenal data analyst on campus, and she has created dashboards for us where we know it updates twice a day and we know exactly where we are. So she keeps some of that data, and one of the things that I felt was really interesting, that males are less likely to enroll in online classes than females.
Less likely.
So less likely.
Less likely.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of figures, why do today what you can put off till tomorrow.
Well,
True.
we have to actually be in the classroom to get educated. They can learn it online.
Yeah.
And so more girls are online is taking classes that way.
Uh-huh. So 71% of all females take at least one online class, which is
Wow.
much higher than the college's overall female demographic of 62%.
Wow. And so what are some of the things that are popular right now? What are some of the classes you're seeing that kids are really focused on? What career routes are people taking?
I would say our general education classes are probably the most popular online, just because it really is a one-size-fits-all for the most part, and they can transfer to the four-year institutions if they choose to. I also think that our different formats, so we have 16-week classes like Dee Dee discussed that start on Monday, but we also have first 8-week classes, second 8-week classes, 12-week classes. So if you weren't ready to start on Monday, you could go ahead and get enrolled and in those later start classes so that you weren't behind if you were concerned about that, getting your textbooks and materials and things like that.
Wow. So with the online classes, what percentage do you think, or you probably know it, you have a computer here to give you some data.
I do.
Like how many of those 15,000 credit hours you talked about, how many of those are online? How many of those are in class?
We have about 4,300 that are online.
Okay. So that's almost a third, almost getting close to like 30% or 33% are taking classes online. And does that probably helps with classroom space, things like that, because they don't take up a seat, but how does that affect their degree standing? Does it all the same as far as that goes?
Mm-hmm. All the same. It doesn't matter if you take a face-to-face class, if you take an online class. And we also have BlendFlex. So BlendFlex is another alternative where the instructor will record their lectures. You can attend in person, you can attend through Zoom at the time of the class, or you can take it as an online class, but you keep up with the class. So online, we usually start the week on a Monday, we end on a Sunday, and that's the week for our online. The BlendFlex classes, you may have assignments due every day, or you may have assignments due in the middle of the week, but it gives the option that I work, and I had a student last semester, and she worked, but she would come into class every once in a while, and she was taken at BlendFlex, so she would come in if she struggled or just wanted to be a part of the class. And so the BlendFlex is a nice option because it gives you that flexibility. If I work, a shift or different shifts, then it gives you the flexibility to come to class or not come to class and not miss anything.
So I would think for the instructor, that's kind of challenging to keep the pace the same. That what we're doing in the class and what we're doing online is staying at the same place. So that if they did come in, they would be right, I'm assuming they'd be right where they were at online. Is that how that works?
Yeah, for the majority. I'll let Crystal answer that because she is the instructional designer for a lot of those classes so she sees the how it rolls, I guess would be the word.
The expectation, is obviously set by the instructor, but overall they make it clear to students that despite whether you're in the classroom or you're taking it online, you are responsible for keeping up with the same timeline. And so they are responsible for watching that recorded video and still getting assignments completed on the same pace as the students that are there in person.
Yeah, and I would think, sometimes if you're working on your own online, if it was like a list of, I'd say like a punch list, I got to do this, pass this, do this, you could almost work on, I would think, and maybe I'm thinking of it wrong, that you can hit things out on your own pace and maybe be ahead of where other people might be if they were in the traditional classroom. But maybe it's not structured like that. Is it?
Each course is a little bit different. That academic freedom for our faculty to set up that course how it works best for them. But I would say majority, everything has a due date. But as far as working ahead, usually working ahead is okay, as long as you don't miss those deadlines that are set.
Sure, and I don't know what has changed over the years. Take like English Comp 1. I mean, I remember that was like, there were going to be 6 essays in English Comp 1.
Yes.
And so if I was online, would I be able to say, okay, I want to bust out 6 essays here in the next 2 or 3 weeks? Or is it, there's also learning along the way of what this essay needs to be, what it's targeted to be. These are the things we're looking for. This is how you do the research for this kind of essay, and so forth like that. So, I understand the flexibility, but also the structure. It's kind of a yin-yang that you have to work out there, it sounds like, because you offer the flexibility of being online, but there's still the structure of the class. Is that?
Yes, so it's still really important that our online students have a similar experience to those that take a face-to-face class. So we want them to still interact with each other with discussion boards, peer review. So your comp class, maybe a peer review. I might assign you to review Dee Dee's paper or vice versa, and then you would collaborate and try to improve that way. So those deadlines wouldn't be as flexible as far as submitting a paper.
What do you see as far as like students that are taking online classes participating in student life type activities? Do they still come on campus to socialize and other things like that? Or, I mean, I know probably a lot of them are doing it because their life is pulling them in a lot of different directions, and so maybe they've got to be a parent, maybe they've got to hold down a job, maybe there's something else going on that they're doing, and so they need the flexibility of the online. But do you see some that also say, well, but I also want to experience, have that college campus experience?
Yes, and especially students will come on campus to eat lunch or
Really?
eat dinner, and then we do have a new student center that we are opening. That I don't have the date of when that is opening, but that will be a place for students to go to just hang out, and so I think that more online students, once they see that's available, that they may come out as well. And then we have the workout center too, so and the walking track and things like that. So I think the student experience, even if you're taking it online, you're welcome to come to campus anytime.
And 35% of our online enrollment is from Seward County.
Oh.
And so that does give them the opportunity. They're always welcome to come to campus and use the library, use the testing center. I also think it's interesting that out of our full-time students, 46% take an online class, at least one online class.
Wow. See, Jim's halfway there because he goes out to campus for lunch.
Yeah.
So now we just got to show him where the classrooms are
Get
at.
them in a classroom.
That's the most important part to me is eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and if you peer review my paper, be nice, okay?
But no, I was just interested to see, that college experience, coming out on the campus and some of that. And it's kind of funny to me thinking about how the student union has evolved, that now we're having another student center where they can
it's
go
really
and do
exciting.
some things. Because when I've been by the union, when I was there, that was the hangout, the lounge type of student lounge, if you want to think of it like that. We just started the process in the early '90s of getting the machines in to have where you can get sandwiches out of a machine, things like that, because the cafeteria would be closed. Then what? Well, we were starting to buy machines and things like that so that the union would be a place, ping pong, pool tables, things like that. Now you've got, it was like the internet cafe and other things
Right.
that are part of the student union, and I'm sure that the student population has certainly grown since then. So this additional space. So what's the difference between the student union space and then this new space?
It's just another space, I think. We still have in the student union, we still have the pool tables, we still have activities that go on all the time.
There'll be the kitchenette part and some gaming, a theater.
It's a lounge, student commons area, and shares space with our new student health center as well.
So it's a student lounge area with
It's going to have a kitchen. It's going to have
kitchen.
an entertainment area where you can watch movies, big screen TV.
Oh, okay.
And so it's sort of more like they said, the campus experience. The student space, like if you're actually where you can actually go out, especially for the kids that don't, like 8 o'clock, they can come out and just hang out, or if they're hungry, which is one of the biggest things with the dorm kids, you know, like cafeteria, said the cafeteria is closed now. I can actually, instead of using the old hot plate and making ramen, you can actually go into a full-size kitchen and actually make something.
Yeah.
Sure. Well,
That's
and
exciting.
so having this additional space, I think, isn't it the old dorm
Yeah.
building, and that's being converted into that? Is there a projected time when that's going to come online or be open? Is it this semester?
Pretty soon. If you look at the Facebook, it's pretty much complete. We just need to put some finishing touches on it. So I'll probably say maybe sometime this semester.
So Phil's helping us out. You may not hear him as well, but
Good
he said
answer.
maybe sometime this semester they'll get that going.
Just try to nail Phil down to it.
And how about the truck driving and that part? I know that campus has really been transformed recently. How's that coming along?
Very well. They showed us some pictures during our professional development, and it's pretty. It's a really pretty building, and it has a lot of space and has an area that when you walk in, will be someone there to direct you, and we're really excited about that. Although we have not toured it, we did see pictures of it, and it is really a really great area.
I noticed the other day there's a lot of green doors showing up out there.
Yes, President Bennett likes to paint.
Well, and I wish they could have kept a couple of the refrigerated areas in there, because I know that they do the meats over at the ag side of the college. They could have just had, come on into the meat market over here, and but no, that facility has definitely been transformed. I love the digital sign out there. I'm not thrilled about West Campus, because it's right next to East Campus of Liberal High School. And so I would like both of those facilities to be named something else. Someone who, and Mrs. Perkins, was a longtime person out at the college. But Mr. Perkins, I want the other building to be, for the high school, to be the Perkins Center, because he was such a long-time educator there. And then something similar to the, I guess maybe someone will write you a big check, you'll name that building after them.
We're working on it.
Working on it.
It could be the Earl Center.
Yeah. That'd be the worst part. I mean, I don't like driving. That's like the worst thing for me. I hate going out on the highway. Okay, so I got married. Heather and I are from very different parts of the country. She's from Allentown. And when we met, I was telling her, we drive, I'm just not good. She said, oh, don't have to worry about that. I love driving, all that. Then she found out what I meant when she came out here and found out that driving wasn't a 10-minute experience. It was several hours at a time. So, but no, those guys that do that are learning that skill and driving, not just driving a car, they're driving multi-ton vehicles full of payload, and the responsibility of all of that is amazing. And I was at a Seward County, or a Liberal High School soccer game on senior recognition, and I was surprised by how many of those kids on their senior, how they always say they're going to attend this or that. I bet you close to half said they wanted to get their CDL and be a driver.
Yeah. The program is full with a wait list all the time.
Gosh.
It's always full.
And you guys expanded that even in Garden City, right?
We did, yes.
And so even the people in Garden City are getting Seward County instruction.
Correct, yeah.
And so, that program has really been a great one. Is there anything else that's new, or anything this semester that's different, new offerings?
So there's a couple, I'll come back to, start with the classes, then I'll come back to some of the exciting things in my division. So some of the new classes that we have online are business ethics. That class was taught through the EduCan system when we had EduCan. And so we are bringing that on campus, and that will be taught online. And then entrepreneurship is another class that we've taught before, but it hasn't been an online offering. So those will be two of the new courses. Those are late start classes, so they'll start in they'll be the second or the 12 week, and those will start on February 17th and run through May 9th. So we're very excited about that. So there's plenty of time to enroll in those. We also have hired a part-time agronomist who teaches online. And while he doesn't live in Liberal, he teaches crop science. And we'd really like for anyone to look at that class, because he's very knowledgeable of the classes looks like a really fun class. And even though it's online and you're thinking, well, how can I do crop science online? He has developed it so that it's a really good experience. So those are a couple of the new. Well, crop science isn't new. It's just the new experience with an instructor who is an agronomist and has been for several years. And then there's a few others of the late start classes.
Yeah, so we have Anatomy and Physiology 2, and English Comp 2 is another option that would start February 17th. And then in March 10th, the second 8-week classes start, and we would have a microeconomics class and another English Comp 2 option. So the point of having multiple options of classes like Comp 2, you could take it for 16 weeks for the people that's a better fit, or you could take it for 12 weeks if that seems to fit your schedule better, or we have first week and second 8-week classes if you want to do a more fast-paced course.
Yeah, and these are all 3-credit classes, and
Everything that A&P 2 would be 4,
oh,
right? 4, yeah.
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 So,
Well, you mentioned that crop science. I bet you, Jim, if they had stuff like that back in your day was pre-Seward County Community College. But
We have came a long ways in 25, 30, 40 years. I mean, you wouldn't recognize crop science. Yeah, well, I mean, basically there probably wasn't any before the hybrids started, you know, and then they got to change it. But now then, I mean, it's almost daily that there's changes made in that thing. And, you know, to have a guy that actually goes out and works in the field, takes soil samples, you know, recommends, you know, spray programs. I know spraying has come a long ways, you know, in the last few years. And, you know, and it's not only just spray the whole thing with, you know, one application, but there's certain areas, and you know, those sprayers have got programs on them, and it'll spray a little more here, a little less there, or fertilize a little more here, a little less there, and you know, so it's, you know, that's a huge deal anymore compared to what it used to be.
Well, and with the precision ag, and we do have drones. We haven't brought those into the classroom yet, as far as with the crop science and stuff.
Yep.
But the drones are very. We're ready for that piece as well, because that's an up and coming. I mean,
Yep.
that's being used like right now all the time.
Yep.
And that's just it, you know, keeping up with these things, and you guys finding the instructors, getting the information out in multiple different ways, whether it's in-person class, online. It's just, you know, why we're doing this program the way we do it, because things change and the way people get informed changes, and we're trying to keep up with that as well. And what are some others? You mentioned some other classes that.
So the microeconomics and macroeconomics, there are 2 classes they're very popular. We have those this semester for the first time as a first 8-week and then a second 8-week. So they could take one or the other, or they could follow the micro and then a macro class. But the other exciting thing is our new criminal justice. We've always had a criminal justice program, but we have 2 new online courses with that as well. The agency course and the criminal justice, ethics and criminal justice. And that instructor, Linda Morgan, she has been epic in teaching, and so she's taught for a really long time online, and she has a lot of exciting things that she has built into that course too. So
There's a couple of times you mentioned the word ethics. You know, I think we've got a fine display of our federal government that never took that class.
yes,
No, I
we're
mean-
going to change that.
Well, hopefully so. Yeah, but you know, those are important, and you know, so it's good.
Well,
good
they're
to see that
talking.
they're happening.
They're talking specifically business ethics.
Yeah.
I remember my ethics class at Seward County Community College. It was with Dr. Laux, and I had to do an ethics in journalism. Was one of the assignments. You had to pick something and do what the ethics are in that specific area. And you know, there's a lot of things that we wouldn't be successful here if we didn't keep things, the conversations that we have, the sources that we have. There are cells that we're going to see before they go out to the public, and we have to keep all of that private until that's announced to the public, and that's an ethical thing. You've got to follow all of that and do those kind of things, and that's business ethics for our business, but all kinds of business ethics, you know. Hospitals with the HIPAA laws and the
Right.
privacy of the patients, and you know, it's not just enough that you're in the facility and that you have access to this information, but you have to be responsible with it. And so kids going through business ethics and stuff,
Yeah.
that's all important to understand those kind of things. And so, and having that available online and people being able to get that way.
Well, a lot of that's just common sense, if you get right down to it.
But it can make or break a business
Sure.
or
You
something
bet.
like that. And
It's confidentiality.
yeah, you know, and social media certainly probably hasn't helped with that either.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
because people can violate that stuff
Yep.
with just typing in something, and sometimes, you know, people, I mean, what's that? I wonder if they talk about it in there, but a rule about if you typed up a certain amount of time to wait before you hit that button,
Yeah.
because you
Delete
may
a couple
reconsider
times.
that in just a minute or two when you think it through. But all of those things are ethical concerns. Having classes like that at Seward County Community College, making that stuff available, and that. How many people do you see transfer like in the middle? Like they got the classes, they're ready to go on. They've got their associate level stuff, and now they're ready to move on. Do you have some of that takes place here in the middle of the year?
We do, not as much as in May, because mostly our degree plans, we don't want to overload the schedule of a student. So you do have a few students that will graduate in December, but our majority of the transfer is going to happen in May. But we do look for those and encourage anyone who is ready for graduation. We have the winter term that we just finished, which was really successful. Both Crystal and I taught within the winter term, and that helps for those students that maybe need to graduate in December as well. So we don't see a percentage really amount them, but we do have students that graduate in December.
So how many students or hours did you have through that little midterm?
Well, so some of the classes didn't have enrollment, but we ended up with 6 3-credit hour courses. And then as things get started and before our certification date, some of the students realized the amount of work, because it's a 16-week course in a 3-week. It's very, very intense. And so we started with 6, and then some of the classes, the student population wasn't there. But I believe that we ended with 5 classes that were 3 credit hours, and students were pretty successful.
Well, and so you had to give up your holiday
Yeah.
to do that, and you know that's another commitment of that. I mean, I have a daughter who's at KU. She finished up at Seward County. She's at KU now, but she came home for the break and was here for about 3 weeks, and she's back now. But these kids don't get that if they're going to take this,
Right.
and then an instructor has to be engaged as well. So you guys don't get that either. So what kind of break did you get?
Well, let's see, classes ended on Friday, and then we had Saturday and Sunday before we had to come back. And then the snow, we had a late start. But I really commend those students that take that 3-week course, because it is intense. They spend hours every day, and my class was very successful. And it was a large class. I think I had 18 students that took the class. So it is intense for them, but they did a really, really great job.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that you had holidays in the middle of the week, Wednesdays.
Yeah.
That had to be a killer.
Yeah.
To have Christmas on Wednesday, and I'm sure that they didn't want to be doing homework or
Well, we're
classwork.
nicer than that. We don't make it. There are a
It's a
few
little
days.
flexibility.
Yeah.
That
And-
work ahead plan was better.
Yeah, but I think that's if you're trying to get things done on a schedule and you're like, I want to be done in 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, whatever you're going for, that's a way to push through and get those things in there and get those out of the way. But yeah, like you said, kudos to the kids and
Yeah.
the students who are willing to do that. As you're looking at online, do you see, are they traditional kids, like kids who would be at their regular graduation class coming through? Are they non-traditional, a mix? What are you looking at mostly on the online?
I think it's a mix. We keep track of female and male, full-time, part-time, age, the Kansas residents and out-of-state residents, first generation and not first generation. We do have a large number of first generation that we're really proud of those students, that their parents, their grandparents, they're the first of their family to go through college and graduate. And we recognize those students during graduation because it's a pretty great thing. So we do keep track of that. So of the online learners, as of today, 29% female, 70 or the male, I'm sorry, and then 71% of the female. And so we have a large variation from, we keep track of less than 25 and over 25.
So
the
what's the
age
over
range
25
was-
population?
So the over 25 is 16%, and then the age for less than 25 is 64%. So we have a much stronger population there. And then Kansas residents is at 73, and then the non-Kansas residents at 27. So.
What's the over 80? Don't have that number. I'm just seeing if Jim would have any
If I
classmates.
enroll, I'll be 100%.
Thank you. If you could do that, I have my computer here.
No, but that I was just curious of those numbers. So 16% over 25. So most of them are going to be in the traditional age of going through that.
Yes, absolutely.
And doing that, and most of them are going to be Kansas. But I think 70. You said 73, 76% Kansas.
Uh-huh.
So
Yep.
still about a quarter coming from out of state, and that's a pretty significant number.
Uh-huh.
I'm assuming most of that's Oklahoma.
Yeah, since we're a border state, Oklahoma, Texas, though we do have several students that come from the Texas border too, and Colorado. And actually, one of the programs, the instructor, they had 2 students that drove from Lamar every day back and forth.
Wow.
So that Colorado is
Good gosh.
yes, that was quite a drive.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we all the border states, that then our population of out of state grows a little bit.
And I know with the Saints Anywhere, how many do you see international? Do you see some of that?
During the winter term, like students that maybe had the opportunity to go home, I know that some time change occurred in my class particularly.
They found out it was warm there and it was 12 degrees here.
Yes.
They decided to stay.
But otherwise, unless, for me personally, I've seen that if they have a connection already, maybe they were a student athlete or maybe they were already a student at Seward County Community College and then wanted to take advantage of the online class when they were home for whatever reason, that's what I've seen personally.
Sure. Well, I know that our athletics brings us some international students, and I think that's a great experience for everyone, not just them, for us here.
Right.
I always say you don't have to leave Liberal to meet the world. The world comes to Liberal.
Absolutely.
And we get to,
Yeah.
and Seward County brings a lot of that, and so we get to see a lot of foreign students. I was trying to remember the name of the volleyball player that was from, was it South Korea? Seyoon. She was taking some pictures one night of a basketball game. And so I was asked to talk to her a little bit and find out a little more about her and how she got to Seward County and what her goals were and things like that. And that's just neat that we're a step in the life of people around the world that come to Liberal Kansas, Seward County Community College to take that. And now online, they can find you online and be able to take classes that way as well. And that's just, and it's amazing that about a third of our student population is doing that. That's amazing.
It's their stories are very interesting. Why they came here, how they came here. It's really great to have all that big puzzle from all parts of the world that are actually in Liberal Kansas, and you think, how did you get here from Paris? But they seek us out, and we're really happy about that. And I have one other thing to share. Because the very first time that I came here with you, I talked about the grant of the grain elevator and the biodiesel. So this year is the 10th year, so it would be the second of the 5-year. And the Soybean Commission gives us a grant that we are full circle now. So we plant the soybeans, we house them, we press them, we test them, and full circle. And then any of the waste, we have talked with businesses around Liberal that are helping us with the waste as well. So when we went to the commission where we presented our proposal, they were very impressed. We were the only ones that were using the soybeans, so we're actually going to start providing soybeans for KU and K-State, who are in our consortium. But we received that grant again, and so we were pretty proud of that, because when we stood up there and told them everything that we were doing, they gave us kudos. So that has come full circle as well from the first time that I had come to visit with you in the last 5 years.
Can you make soy sauce out of that?
I don't know, but I'm going to ask.
I'm a big soy sauce guy.
Yeah.
I'm not tofu guy. Isn't that
Yeah.
soybean also? Didn't that come from the soy?
Yeah, I think so.
A lot of things
Yeah.
come from the soy.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of things
Yeah.
with
Oh, yeah.
soybeans.
Yeah,
So you're growing them out on
on the ag plot.
on the ag plot?
agriculture plot.
And so then you guys grow them, you harvest them,
We
you
harvest them.
house them, and then you do what with them after that? You squash them? What'd you say?
We press them.
Press them?
And then the leftover cake that comes out from the pressing, we feed that to the animals in the agriculture department, and then we test it. So after we press them, and then we run the oil and press them into oil and create
Oh,
biodiesel.
biodiesel with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we test it to make sure that everything is working well. And we're not completely ready with our testing. There are a few things that we need to some equipment that we need to get, but we have Seaboard Energy that has partnered with us to help us test, and then the Bloom family actually does help us harvest, because we don't have the equipment
Sure.
that allows us to harvest, but we are, with the help of our partners, we're full circle.
That's
So that-
great.
Yeah, pretty
Well,
excited.
if they
about
can't
that.
make it themselves, but they have the raw material, I'll be glad to buy some of that to make my own soy sauce. I love soy sauce, and I mean, it's like, it depends on the brand, of course. I like some better than others, anyone would, but no, if we could grow our own, think about that. That's something that
I'm thinking hot peppers myself.
Yeah.
I think that's what they really need to be growing out there rather than soybeans.
The Soybean Commission would not think highly of that.
no.
But then the very last step that we're trying to do is get a system on our CDL trucks that we've had one that we had recognized that we were going to use, and then we haven't been able to do it yet. And it's a system that it starts with diesel, and as soon as it gets warm, it moves over to biodiesel, and the driver doesn't even know that it's happening.
Wow.
So that's a little bit in the future. It's a costly thing, but we're working with some partners to be able to get that. So we would be really full circle.
Well, I know we've held you over a little bit here, but hopefully in the future we can also talk about some of these other innovations that's happening in the county with the jet fuel that they're working on in Conestoga,
Yes,
with Apex coming in and talking about pulling hydrogen. I'd like to know how Seward County might be fitting in with those, and what jobs that they're going to need down the road. I mean, those are going to be some pretty technically advanced jobs
Right,
that
yeah.
are going to be needed, and if we can grow some of those at home and have opportunities right here, that'd be great too. So we appreciate you guys coming in and sharing all this.
Thanks.
Anything I didn't ask you feel like it's important to get out there?
Well, the other thing I think that we are very, very proud of is since leaving Educan in the fall of 2023, which is not too long ago, our online enrollment through Saints Anywhere has grown 52%. So it has grown a lot. We're very proud of that number. We have good instructors. We have great instructional designer that helps, and so it just continues to grow every day.
Well, the way you guys stay moving on the cutting edge and doing that, we talk about all the time how impressed we are with what happens at Seward County Community College, and just having you guys on this show has taught us all right here a ton. So I know that the people who tune in have been learning a lot more, find out what Seward County is really all about, how many other things, the business and industry department, the academic side, being able to receive your education online, all these expanded classes, the ag, the crop sciences, and all of these things. It's all here. People don't have to go off somewhere else to find it. People are coming here to get it.
Yes.
And that, it's an importer. We're importing people seeking education. That's a great, great thing. So we appreciate what you guys do.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us.
And we look forward, like I say, I got a ton more questions, we just ran out of time. So we're gonna have to have you guys back again in the future so we
Okay.
can continue this conversation. We're going to have some more news and views for you, and we're going to bring that to you right after this.
Our loved ones leave an impression on us, and it's important to make sure their lasting impression honors the life they led. Since 1956, the Jones family has been providing lasting legacies to the lives of our loved ones, and that torch has now been passed to the Creekmore family. The commitment to compassion continues by offering the largest inventory in stock in the region with in-house custom craftsmanship that makes sure each piece is as unique as the life it represents. With a combined 82 years of experience and professional designers on staff, Jones Monument continues to provide affordable pricing and convenient turnaround times. They are ready to serve you from 9:30 to 5 Monday through Friday and 9:30 to noon on Saturday. Yes, our loved ones may have passed, but the memorial left behind stands as a testament to our never-ending love. The staff at Jones Monument understands that, and that's why providing monuments is more than a sideline at Jones Monument. That's all they do. Visit Jones Monument when you're ready to make an impression beyond a lifetime.
Fall off the bone ribs, dripping with our signature barbecue sauce. Tender pulled pork and brisket smoked to perfection. All served with family recipe home-style sides. It's all waiting for you at the Brick House Barbecue and Brew. Open 7 days a week, your barbecue appetite can be satisfied anytime for lunch or dinner. Brick House serves full dinners, combos, sandwiches, and take-home packs. Enjoy a variety of brews on tap or a mixed drink. Shaken, not stirred. Give your taste buds a treat at Brick House Barbecue and Brew, 24 East 2nd Street in Liberal. Like us on Facebook and see our full menu at brickhouselk.com. Well, did you learn anything new?
Oh, you know, you always learn something new. I mean, you know, it's just kind of fun to watch that thing continue to grow, the new programs and the possibilities of you know, all of the things that happen out there, the ag department, you know, and you talk about something that's really changed in the last 3 or 4 years since they got new instructors out there, and you know, it's just kind of amazing to listen to them about all the different things that they've got and the programs they've got, and you know, and what's coming. You know, I mean, who knows? But it's folks like that you know, it's kind of like Trump. You know, we got great big ideas. Maybe we can make it happen. And you know, that's kind of what happens out there.
Well, they're definitely forward thinkers and looking ahead to where education is going.
Yep.
And getting it there. You talked about crop sciences, and you know
Those you know, those online classes. That's really convenient for a lot of folks. And I noticed here lately, Hillsdale College has really been pushing those. Of course, they're offering a lot of free classes, you know, about Constitution and that kind of thing. But, you know, for the folks that live, you know, somewhere else in other states or other countries or something, but, you know, the availability of those online classes to do something that you're interested in is, you know, pretty impressive and really handy for a lot of folks. And it's apparent by the number of students they got enrolled in doing those things. So it's, you know, pretty interesting to watch that thing grow from when it first started. I think I read something the other day where when they first started, they had 331 students, I believe it was, the first year that the college opened up there. Now then it's got, I don't know how many.
it's over 1,500.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, I'm sorry, over 2,500.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we didn't need that. It's like all those other things we built, but we didn't really need it. And look what happened.
Well, that's why there's always going to be those voices in a community, and we should listen to all voices for sure. But that doesn't mean that we got to live in fear of ever stepping out. You know, why did the chicken cross the road questions, you know? Yeah, they took a chance.
Yeah.
You know, you can get run over, but you're also never going anywhere if you never get off the curb. And you've got to, you know, I wish that everything in life was risk-free. I've talked with some people that smart people, but they never took a chance to go do anything on their own. You know, they worked for other people, and that's fine. But they could have done fine running their own business up, but they were just so afraid of the risk, so afraid to take a chance. And it's just like, but they want the guarantee. Everyone wants a guarantee.
Yeah.
I want a guaranteed future and a guaranteed income and guaranteed benefits and all this. It's like, there is no such thing in real life. You know, you look at what's happening in California. You know, these people thought, I'm living a good life, my home, I'm living where I want to, and you got wildfire just destroying it.
Boy, it is. I mean, it is wiping it out, you know, acres by the minute.
There's a chance that you lose Hollywood. I mean, some of these people, their houses in Malibu, Paris Hilton said she watched on video as her home was just burned down to the ground. You know, no one is immune from, no level of income is immune from that. And, you know, you watch this going on, and, you know, there are no guarantees. But you also have to take some chances in, you know, and in liberal and anywhere else. Sometimes we've taken some chances at work, and sometimes they haven't worked. But my gosh, you know, the college certainly wasn't one you can look back and say, what a failure that was.
Yeah.
The college has been an absolute success for our community and continues to be. And even if it was just here existing, you'd say, you know, okay, I'm glad we got it. They're not just existing, they are pushing. They are pushing for excellence, they're pushing for expansion, advancement, better offerings. You know, think about CDL, hey, we can still do this over at the old tech school and that's fine. No, they're like, we got an opportunity to buy a building and turn it into the regional training center. And look what they're doing. And look what they're doing in ag.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, when that started, it was one or two small buildings, you know, but now then look, and that's just because of the kind of people that came in that had this dream to make things bigger and better. And, you know, that addition of that Walmart building out there to their truck driver program and some other programs, you know, I mean, talk about an expansion you know, a huge size just to do that. But there's a demand for truck drivers. If you don't believe that, just take a circle out around, you know, National Beef and National Carriers, or out here at Air Products, or, you know, perhaps even, you know, the hydrogen plant that's coming, you know, that's always a possibility. You know, the fuel, additional airline fuel plant out there, you know, I mean, there's just a growing demand for drivers. And, you know, if they can, you know, go through that course in 6-8 weeks and put you on the road with a, you know, $100,000 a year job, you know. But what really amazes me is how those kids find this place. I mean, we're out here in the center of the United States, and nobody should know about us. And it's very evident, you know, from the enrollment up there, that everybody around the world, or a lot of folks around the world anyway, know about Seward County and Liberal, Kansas because of the college. And, you know, and kind of the same way with Dorothy's house when you get right down to it. You know, it's amazing to sit out there and watch some of the folks that drive in out there, you know, from all over the United States, and sometimes they're from, you know, even outside the United States. But so,
Oh yeah, I was
you know,
out there.
with today's internet, you know, there's nothing that's a way off and out of range.
Well, Joanne called me one time when she was a director out there, and she said, "You want to come meet these guys? I've got a guy from Israel and Russia out here." So I went out there, and I visited with them. Like, how did you come to Liberal, Kansas from there? Well, they were actually in San Francisco, and they watched the play Wicked. And so the people started talking about, you know, this is based on the Wizard of Oz from Kansas, and Dorothy was from Kansas, and they actually have a place in Kansas where Dorothy's house is, and they said, well, we want to go see that. And so they drove from San Francisco to Liberal, Kansas. And I asked them, I said, well, why didn't you just look it up online and see pictures or something like that? And they said, well, in Russia and Israel, you don't trust anything unless you see it yourself.
Reagan's old Trust But Verify.
And they came out here just so they could see it for themselves. And they thought it was, you know, a great exhibit. They went through the Land of Oz. They did all of that. And, you know, just friends. And I found it interesting that it was a Russian and an Israeli. Then they had friendship. And then they came and toured checking out the United States, and came to Liberal because they watched the play Wicked. And, you know, so that's just amazing. But that, again, what draws people here? What brings people to town? I'm looking forward to Ben putting that film out about Pancake Day. And
Yeah.
people saying, let's go check that out.
Yeah.
You know, let's go, what a festival. When is that? Shrove Tuesday? When's Shrove Tuesday? The day before Ash Wednesday. When's that? And it all counts back from Easter and so many, all this. But
I watch a little old show sometimes when I just accidentally catch on it, but it's called Small Town Big Deal. And they go to, you know, events like Pancake Day or, you know, whatever, you know, Guyman's Pioneer Day or, you know, sometimes a lot smaller events than that. But, you know, and you don't think about that, you know, in these small towns and what really goes on there, what kind of events they hold that, you know, you would never think that anybody would be interested in. But, you know, I enjoy watching that because it's, you know, it's something that you never dreamed. And there's some really crazy things going on out there in some of these small towns. But, you know, and some folks probably think that, you know, flipping a pancake is a crazy idea, and maybe it is, but it works. It keeps us involved for about 3 or 4 days.
well, B, you've been around. You moved out to Oregon. You've lived up by Kansas City. I mean, what did you ever have a chance to explain to people, or what, you know, Pancake Day, or talk to other people about that when you're out and about?
Oh yeah, anytime I've ever been away and people ask me where you're from, and I say Liberal, Kansas, and one of the topics that always comes up is either Dorothy or where's Toto. You always get that. That's probably the first response. Well, where's Toto? You know, you always get that Kansas vibe because of the Wizard of Oz, and you tell them about Liberal and Pancake Day and the festivities you have, and the BJs were also a big thing that people talk about when you talk about Liberal. So, because they've been around and people have heard about it. It's amazing being halfway across the country and you bring up Liberal and people recognize that, hey, that's where Pancake Day is, or Dorothy's house, or they know about it. They've never been there, but they know about it, so they ask questions. So it is fun to be out and about, and people say, you know, when you ask, well, yeah, Liberal. And so, like Jim said, people around the world have heard about Liberal, Kansas because of Dorothy's, because of Pancake Day, because of the BJs. They've made an impact on a lot of folks.
Yeah.
And now you can add the college to that list.
And the college.
Yeah. Yeah, and I you know, I love to, when people ask, I tell the story about the well, you know, the name of the town, Liberal. I say, first of all, I said, we're probably one of the most conservative counties in the country as far as our vote goes. But I said, but the way we got the name was, and I tell them about Seymour Rogers and his hand-dug 88-foot well and giving water away. And they love that story. People love to hear that.
Yeah.
You know, when you tell them about how your town got the name Liberal. And, you know, so I love telling that story. And that's the one thing I think we've got to do is find a way to honor Seymour Rogers and the well. And I know that was a big deal for why Don Rash wanted that fountain downtown. Was because he wanted a water feature, because we were founded on the generosity of water. And I know we've talked about it over the years about somewhere we ought to have a fountain, a public fountain. We get a free drink of water. You always get a free drink of water in Liberal. And we need to have that somewhere.
California can't say that.
Oh, they're struggling right now. But no, I just, my daughters were here, got to go see that short film. And I hope as they go back to Lawrence and New York City and wherever else they may end up, that, you know, they can still take that pride in Liberal, Kansas with them and explain to them about Pancake Day. And of course, they spend a lot of summers out at Brent Gould Field too, because I'm out there covering the games, and we go out as a family, and they'd meet their friends and talk out there and do all that stuff, run a foul ball back to get a free candy and do all of those things. And so that's what it means to grow up in Liberal. And I think we talked about this the other day. You know, Liberal is a great place to grow up. Yeah. It's a great place for a family. Mm-hmm. And the things that we have for the family and the kids and all of that. Of course, we talked about the whole town was our playground back then. You don't do that anymore. You don't just tell your kids, we'll see you at night, and they can just get on their bikes and go wherever. But we did that. And no one thought twice about it, and there was never any danger in that. Liberal was a safe place to be. And I'm not saying it's not now. I'm just saying as parents, we're a little more conscientious about that there's just risks out wherever you're at. Yeah. But no, Liberal is a great place, and Seward County is an extension of that. The college is definitely pushing the envelope to make us even better. The Pancake Board, the BJ Board, the Seward County Historical Society Board, the Bake of Arts, the Air Museum Foundation, all of these things, volunteers working to make Liberal the best it can be. And those people could just be skating through for a job at the college, and they're not. They're saying, I want to make it different. I want to do something. Let's push this thing. Let's. These instructors worked over the holidays. Yeah.
Well, that's because they enjoy their job. You know, they like doing that kind of stuff. There's nothing worse than having a job that you hate. You know, and you certainly wouldn't if the whole world was on vacation and you had to go to work. That wouldn't be too good. But they enjoy that. You know, I mean, they enjoy the time with the kids, and you know, they'll see that success someday, hopefully.
Well, I want to share, you know, on a little bit sadder note that Coach Brian Luters, the head coach of the Redskin football team, has stepped down, and he'll be gone at the end of the school year, and so they're going to start looking for another football coach. And I really hate that, because I'm on the sidelines on Friday nights and I see his passion, his love for the game, and his love for pushing these guys to be the best they can be. Yeah. And it's just been fun to watch, and just like these instructors, you know, he doesn't settle for just getting by or just filling a spot. He wants it to be the best, and he expects the best. And you know, and if someone's not giving the best, I guarantee you they're going to hear about it, and they're going to learn that that's not accepted. You know, and he pushes. And a coach, you know, he pushes his assistant coaches too. I've seen that. He wants them to operate at the top of the hill, not in the middle of the hill, definitely not the bottom of the hill. Well, we're going to get to the top of the hill. That's the goal. And if that guy doesn't win a state championship, it was a disappointing season to him. That's the only goal, you know, to win. And you need people like that. And so I hate seeing that he's stepping down.
Yeah, I read that last night. I was kind of surprised, or not kind of, I was surprised. You know, just never thought about that, because he's brought that program a long way since he's been here. You know, and of course he came from over at Meade, and that was a top-notch program over there. And I think that's the reason they brought him over here. But I don't know what happened, but apparently something. And so now then we're going to have to start all over and build that confidence again.
Yeah, and you know, you just get into like rebuild. It's been 3 years, and he's done a great job. You know, playoff victories. We haven't had playoff victories in a long time, and he had back-to-back seasons of playoff wins. He beats Hayes, and then Hayes goes and plays in the state championship game. You know, I mean, so that shows we're right there. Yep. We're right there with all of them. And so I hate to see that. Hopefully you know I've seen some social media chatter, and some people aren't happy about it. But maybe we'll learn more, and maybe more will come out, and we'll see where this goes. But it is disappointing, and it's disappointing to me. It's disappointing to the community from the looks of it, and we wish him the best. I don't think he's got anything lined up at this point. And that tells you something there too when the guy's just stepping down. But we got to learn from it and figure this out. But that one hurts a little bit.
Yep.
And these fires in California, we mentioned them a little bit, but now it's coming to light more and more about this lack of water. You know, not having enough water. And I've seen some videos when Trump was president, they had fires. He was there before, and they talked about fixing some of this, and it never got done.
They collected the money, though.
Yeah. And they didn't, and you know, this underbrush and stuff to get rid of that, because that's, and they didn't get it done. And now there's a spat between Newsom and Trump, when Trump said, you know, we've been over this. This isn't just nature. This was avoidable, and it's poor leadership that's allowed this to happen. And of course, I heard a reporter ask Newsom first. He blamed Trump and stuff, saying, well, he's a climate denier, so you can't listen to anything he says and this. But the reporter still said, but what about the hydrants? What about the water? And he said, well, the local officials are looking into that. So he immediately, it's not a state level thing.
Ain't my problem.
It's not me.
Yeah.
It's these local guys. They're looking to figure out what they didn't do and didn't, you know, it's like, just throw them under the bus. Anybody but me. It's the same thing with Biden. It's the same thing with Harris. It, you know, oh, the economy. No, it had nothing to do with us. We've saved it. We're the salvation of the economy.
Yep. Just step up and say, I screwed up.
It didn't
but
work.
They will not do that.
I can at least give Obama credit when he said, well, the shovel-ready jobs weren't as shovel-ready as we thought. You know, at least that's something.
Yeah.
But B, what do you think about Newsom saying, you know, these local guys are looking into what the water issue is? You know, that's the answer.
Well, just passing the buck. I mean, that's kind of the way California's been run for so many years. And look where they're at. I mean, their economy is in the tank. They've got these wild, and they continue. It's like there's so many things that could have prevented those, like the underbrush problem you talked about. You know, we had the same thing in Oregon. You know, the governor wasn't taking care of that. That's why some of the fires we had up there were going on. She mandated that they not do it. You know, and the conservationists knew those were the problems, but yet the governor wouldn't allow the people to go into the forest to fix that problem. Why? Didn't want to spend the money. You know, that's the problem that do a lot. That happens with that all the time. And Newsom's the same way. He's, you know, and they definitely spent the money because they're what, $25 or $30 million in debt in the state or more.
Oh yeah, it's billions. It's not millions. It's billions.
Yeah.
I just missed the B on that one.
Well, you know.
You already took the B.
It's a lot of money. No matter how you say, there's a lot of money in debt. So, and then to pass the buck, which is what he's doing to the local officials. You know, that's a typical poor leadership. That's they've shown that they don't have good leadership in California.
Yeah.
There's a little thing I read off the press this morning about that. It said homes raised: Anthony Hopkins, Billy Crystal, Paris Hilton, John Goodman, Miles Teller, among those homes that were destroyed, while dozens of other stars now face an anxious wait alongside their neighbors to learn if anything could be saved. Meanwhile, they had a mayor attending an inauguration in Ghana after being warned about the possibility of high wind and fires, and a fire department with a budget that would have they decreased by, I think it was $23 million. The fire chief more intent on initiating DEI practices and fire prevention and good firefighting practices, and a giant lagging of water to fight the fire. Reports say up to 2,000 homes and buildings have been lost so far, with more to come. And also they know of at least 5 lives that have been lost. But anyway, this Pat Soon Xiong, I believe the name is, The owner of the Los Angeles Times has publicly criticized Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass for cutting LA Fire Department budget amid reports of firefighters struggling with water shortages while battling massive wildfires. There's a little more on this next page. Yep, our hearts go out to those who have lost their homes and are seeking shelter. Fires in LA are sadly no surprise, yet this mayor cut LA Fire Department's budget by $23 million. And he said all that, he put that post on X. And, you know, but the reports of the empty fire hydrants raise serious questions. Competence matters. And, you know, I think that kind of goes along with our ethics discussion a little bit ago. You know, how do you conduct yourself? And, you know, but to think that you have, you know, a fire department that they got $23 million, and, you know, you don't realize the value of that. You know, yeah, they saved $23 million, but what is it going to cost to rebuild that? And how many years, and how much, you know, is that going to destroy more of California's economy? You know, the losses, that $23 million is like a fly speck on an elephant. You know, it's never going to be noticed, but they decided they needed to cut that, apparently $23 million, and this is what happened. Because, well, you know, we don't need those guys, and I know there's a little bit of that mentality around here. That, well, why do we need such a big fire department? Well, I'll guarantee you from past experience a few years ago, we need that fire department. And when it comes time, and that big old blaze is coming towards your house, you know, hopefully somebody's going to show up.
Well,
I did see a video this morning of a guy that was trapped, him and two dogs was trapped inside his house, and it had glass around the two sides of it. And all of a sudden, that one big old picture window just went boom. And I don't know whether the guy got out. I don't know whether he got out or not. But there was other video of 2 or 3 people leading horses down the street, away from the fire, trying to get out. And those little embers was flying across there, you know. But those horses were really pretty calm. I was kind of surprised. They didn't seem to. The people were a lot more excited than the horses, but. You know, I mean, golly, just to watch that thing on TV, they had a kind of a time lapse of that fire coming down the mountain, and every little bit more of that city disappeared, and more, and it burned clear down to the seashore, burned all of that out up there. I forgot what they said, how many acres went up in smoke, but all of the houses. You know, there was that Natalie Winter on War Room yesterday. She had a house that they had told them to evacuate, and she was kind of waiting to see the results of that. So, you know, but I mean, the governor was silent. I've seen a little interview, or well, it wasn't really an interview, but it was a guy asking a lot of questions to the mayor when she got back from Ghana, about where she'd been and why she didn't stay home and all that. She just stood there, didn't say a word. Of course, there wasn't much she could say. But, you know, she had been warned. Hey, we got, you know, high wind warnings. I know, you know, I've talked to our local rural fire chief some days, and boy, tomorrow's going to be a bad day because we got high wind warnings and fire warnings, and, you know, so they're on standby and they're ready. But the mayor knows that and just leaves town, knowing that all of these places are susceptible to fire. Well, it burned their city out.
Well, let's think back just a couple of years ago. We had an opportunity here in Seward County to add some water tanks around the county.
Yeah.
And we haven't been able to accomplish that.
They finally called that off.
It became a bureaucratic nightmare. Well, the lawyers say this, or these people say that, and all this. Like, just get it done. Just figure it out.
That's right. It wasn't rocket science until you got the lawyers involved. Mm-hmm. You know, because there were farmers out there that said, "Hey, I'll give you that little piece of ground right there to set that tank on."
Yeah.
Well, then it became a huge deal, you know, and I went to a fire here not too well, I mean, when they were talking about that, and, you know, it was out east of town, and the fire chief, I was visiting with him while they were trying to put the fire out, and there were houses involved in it, and sheds and one thing or other. And he said, see that little spot right over there about a mile? He said, if we'd have set those water tanks, there'd have been one right over there. But the way it is, they had to go, I don't remember where it was, but it was several miles to get a refill. But he said that tank had been set right over there, and we could utilize that. You know, but no, we can't do that. And, you know, so when your house burns down, you know, and these are multi-million-dollar houses. They're not, you know, $200,000 houses. You talk about the loss. And they said probably 1 in 20 didn't have insurance because of the rules and the regulations the state required for these insurance companies. And they said, we're not doing business in your state anymore. And they pulled out. So, you know, that's a substantial loss for, I don't care whether it's these movie stars or anybody else.
No, hold on. It's these money-grubbing insurance companies that got a guy shot in New York, but here they can't even make enough money to cover the claims, and they're like, well, then if you're going to limit us on what we can charge, there's no way we can make this work. So we just can't provide that insurance here anymore.
Yeah.
And so what's the state? The state provides some little package. We're going to see what that pays off. But, you know, again, you know, that's when government gets in and tries to run the show, and look what happens. Competition will run the show. If insurance A is overcharging, you're going to go to insurance B.
That's a fact.
And insurance C and D is right around the corner.
I've done that, and more than once.
And so you let the market take care of it, but no. Government's going to get in and protect you from these. Well, what they did is they made it where you couldn't get coverage. And now people lose their $1 million home and have no way to replace it.
Yeah.
Nothing.
And just think about all the stuff that was in there. You know, that's what that Natalie Winters was talking yesterday. Said her brother called her and said, we just, you know, got the evacuation order. What documents, you know, what do we need to get out of there? You know, or pictures or, you know, any of that stuff. But you think about that, you know, what little dab you can get out of the house, you know, and throw in the back seat in the trunk of your car. You know, that's minuscule to, you know, what the loss is going to be. But, you know, for some reason, it's the fire department's fault. They want too much money, you know, and they just seem to operate. They can operate on less than that. Well, yeah, they can, and look what's happened. They're burning. I think they said in 5 different cities there were fires in 5 different cities out there right now. And of course, you know, some of that was the wind's fault, but on the other hand, they just flat weren't prepared.
Well, and Sarah Foster wrote on X, she said, we pay the highest taxes in California. Our fire hydrants were empty. Our vegetation was overgrown, brush not cleared. Our reservoirs were emptied by the governor because tribal leaders wanted to save a fish. Our fire department budget was cut by our mayor. But thank God drug addicts are getting their drug kits. Mayor of LA and Gavin Newsom resign. Your far left policies have ruined our state and our party. So this is a Democrat, and you know they've had it. You just wonder, you know, when these policies, you give them enough rope, and you say, why do they keep electing these people? Why do they keep electing these people? Well, it's going to take maybe the burning of LA to finally turn a corner to say, this stuff doesn't work. Saving this minnow that's basically extinct as it is, a minnow. B, they could take a horse tank and put whatever's left of those minnows in it, and they can reproduce and fill that horse tank and put those wherever they want to, and have used the water they needed to have water in reservoirs to deal with this stuff, and also to provide for the people. I wonder what people complain about their local water bill.
Yeah.
We don't pay anything.
Yeah.
If you look and see what these guys are
No,
paying,
yeah. Crazy.
and yet what are they getting for it? This is another lady who used to be on Dancing with the Stars, a professional dancer, Valentine Chmerkovsky. She said that 5th largest economy on the planet, Firefighters didn't have enough water pressure to do their jobs? Are you joking me? The taxes we pay for third world infrastructure is unbelievable. And that's what gets me. They charge more taxes than when I went there for the one trip I've ever had to California, and I saw the people living out on the streets, and I saw the graffiti and the streets, the condition of the streets. We drove a bus. We had to take a bus each day from our hotel to Disney, and the thump from the potholes in the streets. I'm like, what are they getting back for their money? Where is it going? I guess it's going to drug kits for addicts. I don't know exactly where it's going.
Well, that and the illegals, you know, I mean, well, you know, and to reduce that, where'd that $23 million, what was that used for? You know, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of fire trucks. You know, I mean, those fire trucks are probably $1.5 million a piece, but that's still 20 of them or so.
Yeah.
You know, but no, let's just cut that fire budget, you know, because it don't really matter, you know, and, you know, but you have to consider the possibilities of what might happen on those red flag days, you know, just like our fire chief does here. Oh my gosh, here comes the red flag day. I believe I'll just load up and go to Hawaii for the week.
So here's what CBS reported. Last year, the California faced an estimated $46.8 billion budget deficit. We have a $3.5 billion budget surplus in Kansas. They have a $46.8 billion budget deficit. And the year before, a $32 billion budget shortfall.
Well, after this, it's going to be double that.
Such deficits have forced the state to pare back or delay some of its progressive policies that were fueled by record-breaking surpluses during the COVID-19 pandemic. This is the addiction to money I talk about.
Yeah, but that's federal money that the reason that deficit dropped.
Yeah, but so they get all this federal money, and did they do anything about the water? Did they do anything about the underbrush? Did they do anything about the stuff that could have prevented this from happening? Yeah. The answer is no. So what did they do with all their money?
Elected another Democrat.
Look at what we're doing with it here. You know, that's the one thing. We had ARPA money. What are they doing? A lot of it, you know, was deferred maintenance, things we just haven't got to. That's fine. But some of it, you know, has been used for salaries or bonuses. Now, what's going to happen when they say we don't have that money anymore, but the expectation is, wait a minute.
That salary needs to continue.
Yeah, and it's at a lot of different levels of government. It's not just the county or the city or the school. I mean, it's a blend. But you hand that stuff out, and you get people addicted to that cash. And so where do we get it from? Well, we can't get it from the feds aren't handing it out anymore, so where do they go?
Right to my pocket.
Yep. And, you know, it's hard enough. It's hard enough to pay what you got to pay, and this is what they do, is they get you addicted to cash. You talk about it all the time. The feds don't give you money without a string attached to it.
No.
And what does that string usually come with down the road?
Well, consequences like this. You know, I mean, you know, for programs that you know, the communities got used to, that now, oh, we got to have that program. You know, we can't do that. So let's defund the fire department, or, you know, whatever it might be. You know, those easy targets, the mental health facility, let's defund, take a little of that money, you know, because they don't need that, you know, and I think all of those things have consequences. And yeah, you know, we don't like to see our taxes go up, but we don't like to see, you know, our community in conditions like going on in California right now, because it was used for other purposes or whatever. You know, it's just crazy out there. But sometimes you have to raise taxes. You know, and I didn't like to do that because it affected me just like it did everybody else. But sometimes, you know, it just costs more money to do business, and you know, government is a business, although some don't treat it that way. And so, you know, but we have this, and it's still raging out there this morning. I still seen pictures. I think the wind's gone down a little bit, but still, you know, that thing's not going to be easy to stop. I think yesterday morning they said it was zero containment. I don't know what that number is today, but the only containment is, I think, when it burned down to the seashore and went out by itself. So, you know, but I mean, when the numbers come in, you talk about the national debt being 36 trillion. I wouldn't be surprised this would be $1 trillion or $2 trillion. And I don't know how much money that is. That's just a, you know.
Well,
I mean,
again, why does the rest of the nation have to pay California for California not doing what California should have done to take care of itself?
Yeah.
This is a California problem, and it should be handled by California. This fire isn't spread through 7 different states or anything like that. It's isolated to not only the state, basically it's Los Angeles. Why didn't the people there? And yeah, when I saw and it was Skynet News asking the questions, it wasn't Fox News or something like that. They were saying, should you be on vacation right now when LA is on fire? Stone-faced,
stood
nothing.
there.
Said, do you regret cutting $7 million from the fire department budget? Nothing. You know, do you have anything to say to the people back in Los Angeles who are suffering right now? Nothing.
Nothing.
Wouldn't say a thing. I mean, I was dumbfounded. How did this woman get elected? Who put this person in office?
It's California.
But are they going to continue to do this? They're literally burning the place down from poor policies, and they think that they're protecting the environment. Look what just happened to the environment. I wonder how much CO2 has been released in the last few days. They said acreage, this is one of the smaller fires, but it's the most expensive fire in American history. You know, you can have thousands of acres. Think about what, you know, this isn't thousands and thousands of acres.
I thought they said 2,500 maybe,
But
I don't
it's
remember.
they said it's small in scope compared to, you know, a fire raging across the prairie or something like that, for sure. But the cost, I mean, this is like one of the most expensive parts of the world to live in, and that's what they're losing. And house to house just going up in smoke.
Well, it looked, you know, it kind of reminded me of Hawaii, that fire they had there. Just wiped it out. Nothing left.
You know, there's a small upside to this. There's a lot of those Hollywood elitists that were against Trump, were going to leave the country, you know, if he got elected.
Yeah.
Now they're going to have to sell their house because it's gone. So they're free to leave. So there's a small upside when you think about it.
Yeah, they don't have a home to go to, so they can go somewhere else.
Wherever they want to go to now.
Now, I think a lot of them have kind of changed their mind about, you know, what their political affiliation might be after this.
You would think so.
Maybe not, but, you know.
Well, even if they don't change their affiliation, change your thinking.
Yeah.
And just say, we cannot keep doing this stuff that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
We need to, you know, here's a slogan for you guys. Make California great again. You know, go back to thinking about California for Californians. How about you start there? How about you think about the people who've invested in property and homes and jobs and their lives? How about you put them first and think about what their needs are? Because they're the people who are suffering right now. And Gavin Newsom throwing the locals under the bus for why the fire hydrants don't have water when they're the ones who emptied out the reservoirs so there wasn't water to pump. I mean, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. You got what you wanted. You protected that minnow. And how many people, I mean, there's been, it's not a ton, but any loss is catastrophic. 6 or 7 people have been killed. How many more with severe burns in the hospital and trauma centers? But more than that, the financial toll. There's people who will never recover from this.
Yep.
And what policies did you have in place for them? You know, to stick your hand out to Washington and say, we need you. They better get it done in the next, 12, 11 days. Because I can tell you, as soon as Trump gets in there, they're not going to be writing big checks to California for their own fault. California is going to have to find a way to cover this on their own, I think. And I'm not trying to be mean about it. I feel bad for anyone who suffers a loss. But whose fault was it?
Yeah, whose fault was it? Who caused it? You know, I think just looking at that mayor, she knew whose fault it was, because she just stood there, kind of, you know, sober-faced, never said a word. I mean, there really wasn't anything for her to say, you know, and she knew it, you know, but she'd been off enjoying herself and you know, got caught, and you know, but it's you know, terrible thing.
And I hope that that's not on the California taxpayers, that the mayor of Los Angeles is in Ghana. What does the mayor of Los Angeles have to do being in Ghana?
I'll bet it was. I bet she figured out how to charge it off. Those guys don't take those trips, you know, on their own money.
Was Fonnie Willis on that trip too? Was her boyfriend with her?
I see where she had to pay 20, or well, I don't know whether she's paid it yet or not, but the judge found her guilty and had to, according to Tom Fenton, that she had to pay $20,000 of the attorney fees and one thing or other, that it cost Judicial Watch to, I think it was maybe 22,000.
Yeah.
But anyway, she had to pay back a little of that, and I thought, well, dang, she's unemployed. How's she going to pay that?
No, she's employed.
Maybe she has to dig in her sock. You know,
She's
she
still
kept all that cash in her dresser drawer.
She's still the district attorney. She was reelected. She just can't prosecute Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that, I guess, but
Yeah. She so she's still pulling down that money for her job.
so how do people like that get elected? What in the world?
She
Who's
just
paying
got reelected.
attention?
She just got reelected.
I know. Who is paying attention to these folks? I guess until they burn you down and burn you out,
Alvin Bragg.
you know, then, you know, you begin to think, gosh, you know, if half of your city's gone, or maybe all of it, you know, or
If they reelect this mayor, I'm like, L.A., don't ever ask the rest of the country for a plug nickel.
Yeah, nothing.
yeah,
But you get what you've asked for.
Yep.
They reelect a guy like Gavin Newsom. Is this a guy you want going to the White House, by the way? You know, he's supposed to be one of the leading candidates here in 4 years.
yeah.
This the leadership you want? You want your town on fire? And him just come in and say, well, you have to talk to the locals about what happened with the wire. Yeah, it's because you emptied the reservoirs for your trying to look like you're this big environmentalist saving some kind of minnow. Again, a minnow, you can put the minnows in a horse tank and they will thrive and have a huge population.
Yes.
You can bring them out here to Seward County Community College. They'll grow them for you. They'll
exactly.
expand the, I don't know what you call that. I started to say the tribe, but I don't
Well,
like a group of fish as a tribe. Anyway.
Build some public tank somewhere and let them make that their home and let them be in there and let them thrive in that tank. But use the reservoir for the people.
Yeah. I don't know how people can't put people first. So in so many cases, just like that, they've got these small little things that don't amount to a hill of beans, but somebody has got a cause. You know, it's just like everything else. With you have an idea that should be done, but the minority are the ones that get their way, and not the majority. You know, it's just amazing to me how this goes on in every event in life. The minority it's like the squeaky wheel. You know, it's one or two people, but all of a sudden they take precedence over the majority of the people. So it doesn't make sense to me and California is a good example of that happening. And look at the results. So that goes to show you.
Well, was this their wake-up call or not? Or will we
You would hope so.
continue? You know?
That's just it. Will America has woken up, at least as a whole, and has decided to go a different direction as a nation. California is a bastion of these policies, and will people have forgotten this fire in 2 years?
Some of them won't. Those that's missing and homeless, some of them won't. Those dead folks won't.
They might become, I'm going to be curious to see how the Republicans handle things like this, because again, this could be a turning point of how they say, this is how to properly manage the land. This is what true conservancy means, not conservatism, conservancy of the land. This is what you do to protect the land. This is what you do to protect the environment. You know, hunters, a lot of hunters are going to be conservative people, big Second Amendment rights people, things like that. But they don't go out and just kill every deer and run us out of the deer population.
No.
They conserve it. They protect that population. They protect the areas where they go. They make sure that they have the feed, the things that they need so that that population can thrive. And if the numbers get low, they just won't hunt because they want to be able to hunt in the future.
Sure. Well, you know, it's no different, you know, and you know, here in Kansas come pheasant season, you know, sometimes, you know, they reduce the, you know, or reduce the numbers or, you know, all of that. I remember one year where they allowed hens to be shot, which I thought was kind of ridiculous, but, you know, they did what they did. But, you know, and I think Colorado's got some of the same policies that California's got when it comes to forest management. You know, there is none. The environmentalists, oh, you can't disturb the forest, you know, you can't clean it up, you can't have controlled burns. Well, you know, you can have uncontrolled burns, and that's a prime example of what's going on right now. So, you know, will any of those folks that have these forests in their backyard, will they take a look at this and say, hey, is that possible in our community? Or should we just reduce the fire department's budget by $25 million and, you know, not allow anybody to, you know, clean the forest, you know, all of that kind of stuff? Are we going to just maintain the course after this and the loss of billions and billions and billions of dollars? You know, and these were nice homes. These were movie star homes among other folks. So, you know, probably several, $2, $3, $4, $5 million, maybe more. But, you know, they're gone now. They are gone now, so they're no different than the rest of them.
When I was watching the live image this morning, it's still raging. And how much longer it's going to continue, and how many more homes and how many more neighborhoods. And
at one time, they said that thing was moving to the length of 5 football fields in 1 minute. Now, I mean, it'd take a mighty fast fire truck to keep up with that. I don't care who you are.
It doesn't matter if the fire truck can keep up with it if they don't have any water.
Water in
No.
You know,
that truck does nothing with no water.
and you know, here they are on the coast of the ocean, and they don't have water.
Yeah.
You know, and I heard that you know, people say, why not pump ocean water? Well, they say that stuff corrodes the pumps and the equipment and stuff like that. That's why they can't use ocean water. But I'm like, they said they can't get planes up. You know, planes can dip in and get water and drop it. I'm like, well, isn't there some other neighboring community? Do they not care enough about LA that some other town, Bakersfield, doesn't have an airport, or San Diego or San Francisco, that a plane can't take off? Go with a helicopter or whatever, dip down in the ocean, grab some water and go dump it on that? Or are they worried we might scoop up a turtle? We might scoop up
That's probably true.
a fish. You know, people are burning to death. People are losing everything they've ever worked for, and a lot of it's not insured, and they're going to lose it all. And we're worried about all this other stuff. I think maybe we're going to see if we turn a corner here. You know, look at Ohio. Ohio used to be a bubble community, a purple state. Used to be a battleground state.
Yeah.
It's not a battleground state anymore. You know, they finally had it with all of that stuff. And Florida is coming off of the purple as well. If the Democrats lose Pennsylvania permanent, there really is very little road left to the White House anyway for them. And if California, if people there start saying, look, I care, and you guys kept telling me you cared and all this, but look, this isn't caring. This is killing. This is devastating. And we put you in charge. We trusted you. This is what we ended up with. I don't know how else to to characterize it.
No, I mean, you know, it was, I don't know, you almost want to say it was intentional. And if it wasn't, it had to be known that this is a possibility. You know, but we'll just keep, you know, we got by yesterday, so let's try her another day. You know, and let's keep these environmentalists and all these tree huggers and everybody, you know, let's keep them happy. Let's divert money out of the fire budget, or, you know, wherever we can. Let's raise the taxes, you know, and for things that these folks want, you know, to save the fish and all of that. Let's, you know, and I remember when they started diverting that water to save that fish from, you know, thousands and thousands of acres of California farm ground. Which is more important, that little minnow or the food that those farmers out there could produce with water that came out of that canal? You know, well, some folks, the environmentalists, said, oh, well, we got to save the fish, to heck with those farmers. You know, and it put lots and lots of them out of business because of crazy things like that. And I don't know how people get in that frame of mind. They certainly, I guess, never missed a meal. I don't know, but, you know, to me, I kind of like to eat every day, you know, about 3 times a day, as a matter of fact. But yet, you know, when it comes to that, well, you don't need to do that anymore because we're going to save this fish. You can just, you know, eat less or whatever. I mean, but common sense should tell you, you know, that that's the wrong thing to do, you know, but
And that
for some
fish-
people it don't.
And that fish is not like holding some specific place in the ecosystem that keeps a bunch of other things. You know, you look at bees, and we really do need to take care of the bees. Bees pollinate and do a lot of other things that we need to do. And we need to make sure we have a healthy bee population. I'm sure bee appreciates that.
I do appreciate
We need a healthy bee population.
That's right. He's doing all he can.
But this minnow is one of a 1,000 varieties of minnows. This is just one specific one that has been, you know, lowly populated. It still reminds me of the prairie chicken out here, and we were going to basically almost end farming over the prairie chicken.
Yeah, yeah.
If people didn't get up and stand up and go, we went over to Garden
Oh,
City.
yeah, that
and
was a huge fight. You know, I was on that Kansas Natural Resource Coalition board for about the time they were doing that, and that was a huge battle to keep that from going into effect, because it was, well, even here in Seward County, it was going to eliminate, if you drew a line from the northwest part of the county to the southwest part of the county, everything east of that line was pretty much designated as prairie chicken country, even though I don't know you ever see one over there. But, you know, the habitat was right for it, I guess. And that was going to be off limits. You couldn't, well, if you could farm, you needed to get permission to farm and what you could farm. And, you know, and all of that, it was, I mean, it was a huge fight. But finally, at court down in Texas, they found a judge, and he said, no, this is ridiculous. You can't do that. And so he put a stop to it. But that don't mean that they won't come back and try it again, because that bird was far more important than, you know, maintaining these farms and ranches.
But the KNRC had to fight it because they were already putting the regulation in.
Yeah.
And if you didn't fight it, a third of this county would be unfarmable.
Yeah.
And not just that, a whole big old swath of southwest Kansas.
Yeah.
Just because of the prairie chicken. And look, over time, if you do believe in science, if you believe in Darwin's theory of evolution and the survival of the fittest, some things just aren't going to make it to the future. You know, the dinosaurs didn't make it. The woolly mammoth isn't around anymore. The saber-toothed tiger. You know, there's a lot of things that didn't make it. And if it's, you know, I'm not saying it's a good thing, you know, and they're saying, well, this man caused that. Well, what caused some of these other things in the past? Some other animal took out some other animal. But the prairie chicken, and it's all about, let's be smart about conservation, and now we've got a great prairie chicken population.
Yeah, I think, you know, I mean, it's probably not, you know, a great deal more than it has been, but you know, it depends on the year. It depends on whether it rains. They, you know, they have to drink water too, And, you know, but I think about the deer. And, you know, used to be, when I was growing up, you very seldom, if ever, seen a deer out in the country around here. And now then, it's a pretty common thing. If you don't believe that, call up your highway patrol and ask him how many cars have run into deer lately. You know, and I think you'd be surprised. But, you know, it's one of those things that a habitat kind of regulates itself. And yeah, you can't destroy the habitat. You know, but I remember when we was farming, those little old kildee. You know, they're just a little bird, but you know, they make a nest out in the middle of the field. And if you'd see them, you know, I'd always raise the disc up, or you know, whatever we were doing, or go around it or something, you know, just because it was a, you know, I mean, they were, I don't know what good they were, but I just didn't want to disturb that nest. And, you know, a lot of times, well, you'd go around and know that kildee was ready to fight that tractor boy. I mean, she'd get all blustered up and, you know, but, you know, it's just one of those kind of things that you try to, you know, try to avoid hurting that. And I think that, you know, most farmers and ranchers respect that prairie chicken, you know, enough to not destroy their habitat. But, you know, when these wildlife organizations get wound up, especially from folks that have never seen one, and somebody tells them, it's kind of like watching the local news, you know, or the national news, you know, and they tell you something, well, that's the truth. Well, that might not be anywhere near the truth. You know, it's kind of like Earl and I. Yesterday, I was watching Charlie Kirk, and he was talking about after his trip, him and Donald Trump Jr. went to Greenland. And so Charlie was on his show yesterday, about 11 o'clock yesterday morning, I think it was. Well, he was talking about, you know, the trip that they took, and, you know, the reception that they had. And, you know, people met them at the airport, and then, you know, at the local restaurant wearing MAGA hats. This is in Greenland. And, but anyway, he was talking about, you know, one kid came up to him and said, you know, that the town where he lived, about 3 hours away from this Nook, which I think is the capital of Greenland maybe, but anyway, he said this kid came up to him, a young kid, and he said, you know, where we're at, where I live, about 3 hours from here, he said, we've got rubies the size of baseballs just laying around over the ground. But he said, we can't do anything with it because the government, the Danish government, won't allow that. And he said, you know, there was other resources up there, you know, minerals and one thing and another. He said, you know, under the ice caps, they really don't know what's there, but they think there's a good possibility. There's a lot of oil, perhaps natural gas, gold. You know, and he named off quite a list there, you know, and so anyway, Charlie he said, you know, after talking to those folks, the young group, you know, especially, he said they were all excited about the possibility of Greenland being a part of the United States. And so I just text some of us here and kind of said what, and Earl replies back and says, well, CNN says that nobody's interested in that. They don't, no interest in becoming a part of the United States. So, you know, who are you going to believe? I mean, it's just, you know, and that's the way with this fire. Who are you going to believe? You going to believe those folks that have suffered that loss? Or are you going to believe that the mayor was right by cutting the, you know, the budget by $20-some million, or you know, that the fish is more important than those homes that just got burned down? And I guess it depends on what channel you want to watch.
Yeah, well, I think like B said, or you know, with some of these celebrities losing their homes and stuff, they may start changing their tune of what's important, and you know, saying we might be on the wrong side of this, guys. We'll see. I just, for the heck of it, I took a look at Los Angeles weather, looking ahead to the rest of the week, and sunny, dry, no rain, nothing like that. 78 degrees, 70 degrees for the next 5-6 days.
It'll be hotter than that in some areas.
Well, here's what we've got. This is the Squeaky Clean Car Wash weather report today. A 50% chance of snow mainly after 1 p.m. Cloudy with a high near 34. Breezy with a north wind 10 to 20 miles per hour with gusts as high as 30 miles per hour. Total daytime snow accumulation of less than 1/2 inch possible. Tonight, a 50% chance of snow, mainly before 10 p.m. Cloudy, then gradually becoming partly cloudy with a low around 17. North wind 14 to 18 miles per hour with gusts as high as 29 miles per hour. New snow accumulation of less than a 1/2 inch possible. Looking ahead the rest of your week, Friday, a high of 35. Saturday, 44. Sunday, 41. Monday, 43. Tuesday, 44. And Wednesday, 50.
Well, we're just struggling to get out of the 40s.
Oh. I'm looking forward to Wednesday, 50.
We're struggling to get out of
Bring it on.
January.
Bring it on.
And that's the news and views you can use on the High Plains, Thursday, January 9, 2025. We'll be back with you tomorrow to get you into your weekend. We'll see what else happens with the fires here, and we'll keep you up to date on anything that's going on here in the local area. So until tomorrow morning, this is Earl the Leader in Times with Jim Rice and B. Simon saying when you live in Liberal,
Or Walsenburg, Colorado.
there's no place like home. Have a great day, everybody.